My guest today is metal as today on Live and Queer. Welcome to Live and Queer, QCC's queer art show. I'm your host, Maya Chinchilla, and we're back after our winter break. Did you miss me? Today, we're going to be talking about BAAITS Two-Spirit Powwow, which is happening this Saturday. They sent one of their head dancers, Faithlyn Seawright, to be on the show, so we got really lucky since she's awesome.
Lucky, baby, come on.
Faithlyn is a two-spirit Chickasaw artist from Ada, Oklahoma, who paints beads and creates regalia. They also rock out to hair metal, so she's clearly a person after my own heart. Now, at this point in the show, I usually do a like and share gag. Subscribe to us, abracadabra! Like and share! Like this video! Like, share, and subscribe. But my New Year's resolution was to be more efficient. So, like, share, and subscribe. And done.
Oh, thank God.
All right. Now, let's bring on Faithlyn. Faithlyn Seawright, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So good to see you.
It's good
Thanks
to see
for coming
you too.
on the show. You are visiting from Ada, Oklahoma, and you're coming to the Two-Spirit Powwow. How did you get involved?
Well, so how I got involved was that Landa, one of the members of the group, messaged me and asked if I had ever served at excuse me. English can be hard to say sometimes.
You know what? Why don't we start with what can people usually expect at a powwow?
There's gourd dancing, which is just one of the first dances that you do before the powwow. These dancers will have these gourd rattles, and they'll be dancing to a few songs. After, there'll be a grand entry. It's just the official start of the dance. The colors, the flags will be danced in by the head dancers or veterans, followed by whoever's going to be dancing at the powwow or their organization members themselves. And my position at the powwow will be as one of the head dancers. And that's what Landa had asked me if I had ever served as one. And I have in a few powwows here in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And I'll just be doing that.
So you have been going to powwows, or how long have you been involved? Like, did you always dance? Like, tell me a little bit about the background.
So I've been going to powwows since I was really young. I can't really even say what age I started going. I was just always there with my mother, my father, and my family.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I was about 7, I was welcomed into the circle, or brought into the circle, as we call it. Just the official entry. You come in as one dance category. No, and you don't have to stay in that one. You can always switch at a later time. It's just different regalia or different dance moves. And I was brought in under jingle dress dancing. And I was about 7 or so is the story I've heard. And I'm sticking to it.
Right. Yeah. Whatever they tell you, because it's like, what do you remember? There's some people who remember things from when they're 2 or 3 years old. That's crazy. But yeah, okay. So you're 7 years old, jingle dancing.
And with that, it's just you dance around the drum a few times, and sometimes people will even bring in, your family or people that have helped you learn this style of dancing or help create your regalia together.
Right.
And you might do a giveaway is what it's called. And it's just presenting gifts to the head staff or calling out special people.
Right.
We would like to call up so-and-so's favorite person in the world, their uncle, because of all their help. You do that. And some people, you don't have to. It's not really a requirement. But kind of just to acknowledge your position, the honor it was to serve, And that's what really happens at a powwow. And you'll see a few of those happen at the Two-Spirit Powwow.
Okay, so the powwows are sort of a little bit more like a contemporary thing you were telling me about, that a lot of different tribes and folks come to powwows. Are they open to anybody to come?
Most powwows are open to the general public, and it's just a time to really get together, to dance, to laugh, to have a great time, and enjoy any of the festivities going on.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So this is the first time, though, that you're coming to this Two-Spirit Powwow. What's that like for you?
It's it's going to be awesome. I remember whenever I was still a young little Two-Spirit, so to speak, questioning my identity and whatnot. And I saw where they had posts about it online. I was just, wow, this is so awesome that there's a community doing this and having this happen. And to get a chance to be a part of it is just amazing, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, right? It's the 12th annual powwow, and I think it's the first time they're coming back full force in person. So that's really exciting, and you got chosen as one of, I think there's at least 3 head dancers. So that's really cool. What are you looking forward to in the Two-Spirit Powwow?
I've never been to a Two-Spirit Powwow in any sense. Around here in Oklahoma, a lot of them are still strictly based on gender. And while a lot of the community is pretty welcoming, as far as the structure of them has not changed. So it's going to be exciting to just see what can be done, what changes can be done. Even with the title of head dancer in itself, it's very open, and it's just exciting to see. Versus in Oklahoma, we always have like head lady or head man dancer, head young lady dancer. And so the subtle differences like that just make a big difference in the end.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more flexibility with gender presentation. Like I think you were telling me that jingle dance is usually reserved for women, but also in a space like this, it's a little bit more open. So tell me about some of the craft and the regalia that you do for your different powwows. What kind of work do you do? How do you prepare?
Well, my first thing is to always figure out my colors or my design.
Okay. Do the colors have a specific like meaning or anything, or it's just sort of what your how everything's going to come together?
Sometimes it does have a meaning behind it, and sometimes it's just, ooh, look at this fabric. It's shiny. I want to use this one, and then revolve it around that.
I'm all same every day. Yes.
Yeah. And whenever it comes to powwow dancing here in Oklahoma, there's been more of a newer category that's kind of come about from the Southern cloth category, and that's Choctaw cloth. When I went to Durant, that's what I'm wearing, and I help make either my earrings or my collars for it. In my Chickasaw regalia, I learned to make everything. It's very time consuming, but
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of sewing, a lot of thread. Don't realize how much ribbon there is until after.
Right.
It's a fun time for me anyway.
And how did you learn how to put all of this, do any of these little parts, the beading, the sewing, or the, putting it all together, any of that?
I would say it all really started around when I was 12. That's when I first got into beading. That's where I learned how to make certain styles of earrings, and I put it down for a few years because I think I was starting middle school or like early high school, and I said, I need to focus on studies, and after a while I was like, it'll be all right. I can pick up a hobby, and continued on from around the age of 15, I think it was, moving forward, and I learned to do different styles of beading, learned to make our collars, and after that, some stuff I would be taught like how to make our moccasins. But when it came to dresses, I actually got a pattern and just adapted it, changed different parts of it so it could reflect our traditional regalia today.
Okay. And is there things that you've learned from family or just being a participant, or does like the internet also help, you find more information and learn more? Where are you getting, where do you get your ideas, your inspiration from?
Well, some of it does come from talking to different community members, such as learning different stories that might go with, or at least spark an idea like, ooh, what if I did a skirt that kind of told our creation story on it, or whatnot. Okay. And I've done that. And then sometimes I'm just looking around I might find like a pretty set of beads or something. I'm like, ooh, I want to know what goes with a rose gold pink. And you can put it in and add like color palette to it. And there's all these different ideas based on photos, nature, or whatever. And then I just go crazy with it.
Yeah. So some of it's storytelling, some of it's representation of culture. And then also it's just your own kind of expression and creativity. That's really cool. So just wondering, since the powwows are usually open to the public and different tribes, what do you think, like, people who are non-Indigenous who show up and want to support, how can they support respectfully? Is there anything like a first timer to a powwow needs to know before attending?
One of the big deals that I would say is to don't come if you're on any substances or have taken any alcoholic drinks, because even though these are more contemporary dances, we do have a lot of traditional or spiritual mindset to it. And it can be very disrespectful when there's been instances where I've been at powwows and I've seen people that have maybe done some kind of drug or had too much to drink, and they come and they start touching a lot of people's regalia or getting too close to them or knocking stuff over. And it's to be just be mindful of where you are. And if there's things that you want to learn about, sometimes the MC or whoever's just talking over the speaker will say, oh, you're welcome to come in on these intertribal dances, or some dances are specifically for the category. It says, please do not be on the floor if you're a small child.
Right. I'm sure that happens once in a while. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there are people who've already planned to be in and participate in certain dances, and you're supposed to pay attention to when it's your turn to participate or ask questions, and they'll kind of, explain what they can explain. Right. And what they want to explain, for sure. I imagine sometimes people ask, just, I don't know, questions from whatever they have seen in pop culture or not seen too. So yeah, I wondered how people deal with that. But yeah, I'm glad that there's a way of showing up, right? Of showing up with good intentions, for sure. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit? It's really special that you were coming for the first time to the Two-Spirit Powwow here in the Bay Area. Why don't you tell us your definition of what a Two-Spirit person is?
So for me, a Two-Spirit person is someone that is Indigenous and identifies within the realm of the LGBTQ community. Of course, this changes by anybody, and that's what I really liked about the term Two-Spirit as an Indigenous person, was that I didn't really have to explain a whole lot about it. I could just say, oh, I'm Two-Spirit. And they're just like, oh, okay. Anyway, we're going to go back to whatever we were talking about. When I went to school at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, I met and befriended a lot of Two-Spirit individuals. And some of them had been out for many years and had been using the term Two-Spirit. So I got to kind of see what they thought of it. So And sometimes it goes within just, they're just in their own world. And in some cultures, the term two-spirit translated in their language just means someone that walks their own path, or it's someone that holds both masculine and feminine energies.
Okay.
And for me, that's more of what it encompasses. I grew up and I was, quote unquote tomboyish, but I wasn't really.
Right.
I was girly. And,
yeah.
And so for me, it was just to be comfortable wherever I was. And for me, in my opinion, like how I identify, the equivalent would be maybe more non-binary. If I were to make that make sense.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cultures, like two-spirit people were healers, or they were people that had more of a different spiritual sensibility, or quote unquote powers. And they might do the tasks that the other gender would do, or they would still do both, or do things just weren't quote unquote normal.
Right. Like kind of just pushing at those boundaries. I think it's really interesting of what I've heard, in my studies or just paying attention is that these two-spirit folks, and they're, again, like you said, they're different ways of expressing it. This is just the way that we talk about it, probably in English, but that these folks on the different parts of the spectrum existed before colonial times, and it's only more after colonial times that we felt like we had to be in these rigid binary terms. So I think that's a really important thing to know about, or to be respectful of, because it's not just this new thing being queer, they're just different words and different languages and different expressions for it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, because also I think it's important that, what I've heard, and I don't know how you feel about this, is that if you're not Native identified, that you shouldn't be calling yourself two-spirit. I don't know how you feel about that, or can anybody kind of, should they be using something that's more closer to their own cultural expression?
Yeah, I would say that this is more reserved for people that identify as Native. That, of course, even that term goes into if you identify as American Indian, Native American, Indigenous, and some specify more like just North American Indigenous people.
Right.
And I think that's really what it's reserved for, because some of our language is amazing, and we might have had terms that kind of encompass whatever it is we intend without us remembering what it was. Or we might just have to create a new word so that we can identify with it. And whenever I first heard about two-spirit, a lot of people that I knew had never heard of it. And the more we looked into our historical records is, this anthropologist said that they were called this. So sometimes the knowledge has always been there. We just haven't looked for it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And do you ever feel any kind of pushback? Is there any challenge with having, was it a challenge to come out as two-spirit?
So I grew up, of course, I'm from Oklahoma, so I'm in the Bible Belt.
Oh, wow.
So with that, there's a lot of pushback from religion, but I would say within the last few years before, like leading up to when I officially came out, there were some people that were more accepting, or maybe by that time they were being educated and saying, oh, okay, we can have differences. And so when I officially came out, and I only did it because I was getting more questions from people, and I just got tired of answering them. I'm like, here you go. Here's a post. No one asked me again.
Here, all the information you didn't know. Yeah. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, I've only had acceptance from people. And I was even able to connect with one of my cousins who came out as trans recently on their 18th birthday. So I was able to be there for some support and at least like motivation, like, it's okay, like to take some time and really figure out, who you are, and it's okay to change it later on if you need to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Well, what do you think about like some of the newer, in pop culture, there's been a lot of more representation of Native folks. What do you think about any of them? Have you been paying attention or watching them, or excited about any of them? I've heard of like Reservation Dogs, Prey. I mean, Disney has a show called Echo.
I mean, I love it. It's great to see, I grew up with, like the images we see in Peter Pan or Pocahontas and the historical inaccuracies that are there. And to have shows like Reservation Dogs or Prey, Rutherford Falls, that kind of pushes the boundaries to just show that, natives are just people that have the similar experiences to, like white Americans or whatnot, and or to see what differences we have regarding our culture and how not every tribe is the same. And even tribes may have different bands, communities, pueblos.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Yeah, it gets even crazier.
Yeah.
And to have that show up a lot more now, like to have more of an education for other people to watch it, I'll say, you need to watch this because that's exactly how I grew up, or at least it's close.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's interesting for the conversation because sometimes we're like, that's so real. And so, even with like Marvel and, and Namor, and I have some connection with community that are Mayan that they built off of all of that. And some people are like, wow, it's beautiful, it's amazing. And other people are like, no, it's, they should have done this or that. But at the same time, I get excited that there's a conversation at all, that it's not just the same old boring stereotypes or tropes or invisibleness or, tragic stories. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? And is there, since you're into, you're into hair bands, are there any like Native music or hair bands in particular, or that you like? I was thinking about Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden, but that's not a Native band. But it's the one that I sort of popped into my head when you told me you like some hair bands, but any that you could put us on that'd be cool to check out or that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think there's so many out there. Yeah. Or at least that aren't just into hair metal. There's a lot of metal, like Native bands that are coming up. And I could go based into category, but one song that I like to listen to by someone that was more at least 80s, like even could be hair metal-ish. There's a song by Anthrax, and it's called Indians. And while it's a term that I don't accept, but for the time that it came out, it was still cool. And it's one that my brother recommended for me. And it kind of talks about how, natives were here first, and we pushed them to try to kill them, and yet they're still here. Like it was like, there's a line, the chorus is like, cry for the Indians, like die for the Indians, like, but just kind of encompassed. And of course, at the time that it came out, that's amazing. And there's songs by Testament and music videos regarding water rights or land rights. And so many different bands have it or influence, because Native Americans have influenced music a lot. And it's cool to see.
Yeah. It really makes me think about how just music and art, like that's a place where if you can't do it in your own life all the time, you can just channel that like energy, anger, sadness, and just like let go. So, I mean, it really makes me think about, that's interesting that your musical interests as well as your art as well. Is there anything else you want to add about,
to talk about artwork a little bit I kind of go over into different media. And so I use beadwork and I use digital art or even painting besides my regalia to kind of expand what that looks like to me. And, growing up, I always saw, of course, beadwork regarding traditional aspects or adaptations. So I wanted to branch out. I was like, ooh, what if we did aliens? Or
okay.
So I made like alien medallions, but with some kind of like cultural aspect to it. I also try to added that into what I called the Hatchet Woman piece. And it's this black and white, like digital print that I've made. And with some of it kind of showed the badassery of Southeastern women that were documented to come and alongside our men in battle. And they would have their hatchets, they would be singing, but it scared the French so much that they documented it. And we're like, oh, don't mess with them. So kind of to share these stories within artwork, like how we share stories through song, just to do that within artwork in some way and have that representation again.
So it's like part storytelling and then also just your own like interests and through the craft itself. So you bead, you paint, you also create regalia, all of these different ways of channeling that storytelling and that expression. That's really cool. That's so great. I'm glad we got a chance to talk, and I'm really excited to see, where you go, and how you're inspired after visiting here in the Bay Area. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show, Faithlyn, and talking with us. And I want to let everybody know that the Bay Area American Indian Two-Spirit Powwow will be Saturday, February 4th at Fort Mason in San Francisco. And Faithlyn will be there as one of a few head dancers. The event is both in person and virtual this year, so check out BAAITS.org for more info. And to follow Faithlyn's adventures in regalia and hair metal, they are at Not Archival Creations on Instagram and Talowa on TikTok, and links will be in the description. And be sure to like and share this video to help get the word out about the powwow. And it's going to be so incredible. I've been in the past. I'm so excited to be able to go back in person. Let's help them get more folks to come out and support and come in the right way with the right intentions. All right, that's our show for today. See you next time. Bye.